Thanks for joining us. I'm Peter Rowan. I'm the Executive Director of PACE, and I'm the MC for this event. I'm so excited to be here because I think this is the first time that we're bringing all of these particular groups, these particular UH offices together under one roof to present information to you. So PACE is just one spoke of a wheel that comprises UH's entrepreneurial ecosystem. And we thought it would be a good idea to provide everyone with knowledge and information about the kinds of programs and services that are available across for UH entrepreneurs and innovators. So all the leaders who will be presenting today, including myself, are here to support your goals as entrepreneurs and innovators. And we hope that you'll take us up on our offer to provide support on this journey. So couple housekeeping things just to prevent disruption to the presenters. All the participants besides the presenters are muted, and feel free to make comments in the chat feature, and we'll monitor the chat and hopefully get all your questions answered. So we've allotted 1 hour for the event. So each presenter has been asked to make a 5-minute presentation, and then we'll take 1 or 2 questions in between each presentation. That makes sense? Everybody good? Okay, so I get to start by talking about PACE a little bit. So can you see my slides? You can see this start? Okay, good.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. So the Pacific Asian Center for Entrepreneurship has been around since 2000. With the mission of educating entrepreneurial thinkers and innovative problem solvers for the 21st century. I like to think that what we're doing is helping to make the next generation of great entrepreneurs here in Hawaii. So a couple of things that we are and that we aren't. So we are a resource center offering mentorship and funding and hands-on startup training. And we're open to all 10 campuses. It's a free program. It's not an academic program, so you don't have to pay for credits or pay for courses or anything like that. It's not a student club, and it's not just for business students. Now, our physical location, our co-working space is at Shidler, but it's open to everyone. And sometimes we have when we were open in real life, we have good food up there to kind of bribe everybody up to the corner of campus, but anybody is welcome to participate in all our programs, particularly now that they're all online. So we don't have any geographic limitation across the 10 campuses for the time being, and that's actually helped. We've had a lot of great participation from across the whole state. We're also not just for student startups. So many of our programs originate with faculty researchers that have innovations that they're working on in the lab that they're trying to commercialize. And one of the things that I hope that you'll use PACE for is to help build a team, because entrepreneurship is an extreme sport, but it's not a solo sport, it's a team sport. So make sure that you use us as a clearinghouse, trying to find resources to build out your team, as well as some of the other programs we offer. So let me go through really quickly and show some of the programs. These obviously represent programs when we used to meet in person in our wonderful co-working space. Now 100% of our programs are online, but we haven't stopped anything. Everything is moving forward. We have a long list of entrepreneurs, of UH entrepreneurs that we're very proud of, that have gone on or are continuing to pursue their ventures once they leave the 4 walls of UH. And we don't kick them out the door. We keep providing help. And so I think there's no better time than when you're a student to start an entrepreneurial venture. But it's a long journey, and we want to be there for you through the early stages when there's a lot of uncertainty. So what's happened at PACE this spring and summer? We have a series called Entrepreneurship Live. Our first event is coming up in February with Neil Asato from Asato Family Shop. I haven't partaken myself, but I understand that sherbet is to die for. And they're going to talk to you about their entrepreneurial journey. It's our venture competition season. The stakes keep getting higher. So there's $55,000 in prizes for the top 3 finalists, and a wonderful group of mentors to help support you through this competition. And we hope you'll participate in some of our info sessions, which are just around the corner. In fact, we're having our first one here. You see an entrepreneurs boot camp that we've combined with another program that we have called Co-Finders. Co-Finder is matchmaking for entrepreneurs. So it's where you go if you need technical resources, if you're a technical person and you need business resources or you need design resources, you can leverage our Co-Finder. So we're going to do these events together in connection with the venture competition this year. As usual, we have our professional in residence program. We have a big database of virtual professional in residence folks that you can call or contact and get connected with to get free advice. And we also have a select group of professionals in residence who meet with you directly. Actually, Greg Kim is one of our regulars. He's on the call today and he's going to talk later. And so it's an amazing free opportunity for you to talk to lawyers, to talk to marketing professionals, to talk to finance executives, folks whose time is very valuable, and it's free for you. So I like to encourage my students, even if you just want to go and sit down with somebody like Greg and ask him what they had for lunch, that's really valuable time. And so use that, please. We have a new program that we're just launching called the Calvin Shindo Student Venture Fund. This is a very unique program that I'm so excited about. This is a seed venture capital fund entirely run by our UH students. So a committee of UH students, a rotating committee, will identify the investment opportunities. They'll all be UH related startups, but they'll source them and qualify them and negotiate the investments and recommend those investments to the board. And so if you want to be part of that, either as an entrepreneur looking for seed capital, or you want to be part of it in that you want to learn a little bit more about what it's like to be on the investor side of things, the Calvin Shindo Student Venture Fund is a great place to start. So we'll look for information coming out in the coming weeks about how that process is going to be rolled out. We expect to be up and running, the students making our first investments this semester. So we're bringing back Summer Startup Launchpad this summer. This is our 6-week boot camp for startups. And by the time you do Summer Startup Launchpad, you're ready to devote some serious time and effort to launching the business. We've had between 10 and 12 teams every summer for the past 4 or 5 summers, I think. And many of them have gone on to other accelerators. They've gone on to raise capital. They've definitely gone into the market, and they've really gotten through the formative stages during Summer Startup Launchpad. So I hope you'll consider that program as well. So you can connect with us on these various places here, social media, which I don't use, but I understand it's great. And that's all I have to say about PACE. So Tracy, I can't remember, are we going to take questions at the end or in between, or?
We can take questions now, but I don't see any.
Okay.
If
good.
anyone has questions, please pop it in the chat function and we'll try to take them in between presentations. And
okay, so
next we're going to move to Steve with the Office of Innovation and Commercialization.
Yeah, so I'm going to stop sharing so Steve can share. And as Tracy says, we have Steve Auerbach, the Director of the Office of Innovation and Commercialization within the Office of Research and Innovation. And thank you so much for being here, Steve, and go ahead and share your screen and get going.
Thanks, Peter and Tracy. I'm assuming everybody can see my slides. And so I'm going to keep forging ahead. You know, this is a wonderful opportunity, and hats off to Peter and Tracy for coming up with the idea, right? It's an innovative approach to get us all together across the campuses, because there are a lot of free programs, compelling programs in So I'm delighted to have the opportunity to share a little bit about what our office does. My organization is the Office of Innovation and Commercialization. As Peter indicated, we serve all 10 campuses, and there's a three-part mission. It's really to serve faculty, staff, and students, and the research community to promote said research discoveries, to solve problems for the global and local communities, to only grow the UH research enterprise and enhance the community. So a three-part mission that we're doing. And so a little more specifically, you might say, well, what does that mean? So when you think about the Office of Innovation and Commercialization, there's the innovation entrepreneurship side, and there's also the tech transfer side. And so first and foremost, we're here to, as I indicated, collaborate with faculty, staff, and students to understand and assess their discoveries. So Peter talked about the free programs that PACE has from a student standpoint and a faculty standpoint. If those turn into an invention or a discovery, we're going to work with our office to help you guys assess it. We'll work on IP, trademarks, copyrights, plant varieties, plant breeders, patents, all the above. From there, if we assess it and we think there's commercialization or market fit, then we go through a licensing or a startup, or, and I have some acronyms here, MTA and NDAs. MTA is material transfer agreements. So let's say that the cancer school or the medical school or Kapiolani Community College wants to transfer a material to another institution to do a collaborative or sponsored research project. It could be a mouse, it could be a virus cell, it could be a food ingredient, a product. We'll work on those agreements. NDAs, non-disclosure or confidential disclosure agreements, we do that all through our office. Ultimately, to build connections with industry and community partners. And a big emphasis that we like to focus on is not only private industry, but DoD, given the presence here in Hawaii, and ultimately driving dual use cases for DoD and private industry. So that's how we can engage, and you can engage with us. This slide, I'll have you start from the bottom. It talks about, there's multiple paths to commercialization. So again, Peter and the PACE team do a wonderful job in the section of trying to incubate, and he talked about the lean startup methodology for summer. He talks about the breakthrough innovation challenges. He talks about the venture seed fund. So if you start at the bottom, the technology transfer pathway is really invention disclosure all the way to a license agreement. And that could be a student working with a faculty member and says, you know what, I don't really want to do a startup. I'm too busy. I'm not interested. I may have a technology, a widget, a service, or a product. I'm just going to license that and sit back and collect royalties. Now, there may be somebody that wants to do a startup. That's another path. And Peter talked a little bit about that. He or she may say, you know what, I do have the energy. I'm an entrepreneur. I want to do a startup. All right, you assemble a team. And Peter, you know, it's the hacker, right? Peter acronym, hacker, hunter.
The hipster, the hacker, the hustler.
There you go. And so you have a composition, a multidisciplinary team that does a startup. And so idea generation already to market readiness, and hopefully equity and going forward. And then as you move to the middle of the screen, there's a bunch of programs. I don't have time to go through all of these on the far left. You're going to hear from Mind. This Ensign X-Force is a new DoD funded, fully funded out of DoD. There's many institutions across the US that are doing Hack for X, Hack for Defense, Hack for Oceans, Hack for Diplomacy, Hack for Sustainability, Hack for Resiliency, Hack for Recovery. We're piloting hacking for defense with the College of Engineering as we speak. The plan is in the fall to do a multidisciplinary with Shidler and computer science or social sciences, College of Medicine. And so those programs on the left are more your ideation. And then in the middle, it's how do we, from a nurturing and all the programs that PACE has, funding support, our organization, get those ideas to the next stage. And then ultimately you follow it to the right, an SBIR, and then ultimately into the community, whether it's a license or a startup. If I had more time, I'd go through some other details, but we'll save that. I did want to talk about a startup story. And this is a new one that I thought just to kind of connect the dots. So you understand our mission, you understand what we're doing. This is a pretty unique startup story that actually PhD candidate, along with a faculty member, from two faculty members from different departments came together on a challenge that Hawaiian Electric had. And let me go to the next slide. So if you think about in spring 2020, flashback a year, Peter and his team were a part of this. Hawaiian Electric invested some money and said we had a challenge with our solar grid. That team went through a competitive process, won $10,000 to build a prototype. Summer, they actually went through our office and submitted a disclosure. I'll talk a little bit more about disclosures in a bit. And then in the fall, they won the Breakthrough Innovation Challenge. Then they completed the NSF I-Corps program, which is another great, customer discovery effort. I think Peter might have mentioned some of that. So they've accomplished that in fall, and guess what? They're now in the spring and looking at potentially a UH venture competition out of PACE. Summer doing the national NSF I-Corps, and maybe even the summer launch pad, back to Peter's chronology of programs. And ultimately in the fall, are they ready for Liftoff Advisors or SIBR phase 1 or phase 2? And so it kind of talks about a chronology of one startup, and I just wanted to use that as an example so you guys, so everybody on the audience can connect the dots. So bringing this home, because I only have 5 minutes, this is all on our website. I know that Tracy will make these slides, and Peter will make these slides available. There's some policies that talk about, how do I, as an inventor, do a license for a startup? Act 38, Act 39, there are two bills that passed by the state legislature, allow UH faculty and others to do startups. Then, because I'm running out of time, I just wanted to provide this, and this is more of a take behind. Stage 1 is you engage with our office. If you have an idea that you may think is meaningful or novel, call our office. We'll help you write an invention disclosure. That kind of gets it in so that we can start working on a non-provisional patent to protect your idea. And then we go to the next stage of marketing and protecting, and then ultimately licensing and or startup. So this slide does a nice job of just talking about the different stages. It's a lot for you guys to ingest in a couple minutes, but we're here to help you ingest it. I do want to close with a call to action. You're going to hear from Kapiolani. He's always talking about a call to action. So the call to action for all the audience is, when in doubt, disclose. Call our office. I have all the contact information on the next slide. Get a hold of us, and we'll help you through that to make sure you're protecting your idea. Participate in any and all innovation and entrepreneurship offerings. There's plenty of free ones out there. Participate in them. And the last one, if you have not already done this, go talk to your professor. Peter's a professor. There's others that are professors. Talk to your professor, your faculty member, your instructor, that you have an idea. You want to get involved in innovation and entrepreneurship. Get them involved. Get others involved. This is very important for our community and the future of our Ohana. So I will stop there.
All right. Thank you so much, Steve. Excellent. I love your calls to action rather. Are there questions in between before we jump to Kamu? I don't see any in the chat. Okay, well, if you're shy, drop it in the chat if you don't want to raise your hand. So next we have Kamuela Enos, the director of the UH Office of Indigenous Innovation.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter.
And I'm so excited to have you here. If you wouldn't mind sharing your screen.
Yeah, I will do that right now, real fast. Had it locked up. Okay. Aloha mai kako. So my name is Kamuela Enos. I am the director of the brand spanking new Office of Indigenous Innovation, and I'm here to talk about the New Features Challenge. Sadly, it doesn't have a rollout in spring. We're actually in flight right now. This challenge runs from fall through spring, but I'll just give a quick context for who we are and what we do as office and where the New Features Challenge fits within it. So the Office of Indigenous Innovation, I can look out on my window and door and see Steve. We're in the Office of the Vice President of Research and Innovation. And really quickly, the starting premise of this office is that Indigenous people the practices that have evolved in Indigenous communities to live within the context of their landscapes is innovation. Those innovations that have thousands of years sometimes of R&D attached to it. And how do we think about applying them in contemporary spaces to solve for contemporary issues in ways that communities have been disenfranchised or marginalized have an opportunity to rethink about their heritage and deploy it. In Hawaii, that's especially pronounced. Being a native Hawaiian myself, I really have often felt that the word Hawaiian culture is a poor way to describe what our kupuna, our ancestors did. And I often reframe it as ancestral sciences and technologies of integrated biosystems management. Because if you ever understood what an ahupua did, or fish ponds do, or navigating, these are sciences and these are technologies that are really ancient. And what they've optimized for hundreds of years is basically the tenets of what we now call sustainability. So my office is really here to help promote the practitioners of place and faculty to really put forward ideas and use cases that have our ancestral systems be solving for global issues and create a vibrant space for learning for UH students, but also have community partners and Indigenous ideas be valued, and communities can really understand what it means to own your IP and to be beneficiaries of your ancestry in ways that not just provide something of value to contemporary society, but means for quality education and employment for communities that have often been marginalized. I'm from Waianae, so they have a long history of trying to figure out how do we move our people towards really strong and vibrant careers. So what is New Futures Challenge? The New Futures Challenge is a project that we're running, my office is running in partnership with the Purple Maya Foundation. Purple Maya is a nonprofit that was started by two Native Hawaiians who are in the tech sector, Donovan Kialoha and Olin Lagan. And its intention was to not only increase participation of Native Hawaiians and marginalized communities in the tech sector, but also to reframe what we consider technology, to make the case that fish ponds are technologies. Navigating was a technology. And how do we look at creating startups that use these ideas in a way that is ethical, in a way that understands some hairy questions about, well, how do you create a business from something that was ancestrally held? All of these really tricky things we decided to wade into. And where the New Futures Initiative challenge comes from was this idea of how do we take a cohort of UH students, which is who the target audience is, through a guided, at first, we're working on our second cohort. So now it's a 16-week process that we don't necessarily align with semesters as much as we align with our ancestral solar calendar. So the rising from spring, from fall, and the rising of the Pleiades all the way into spring, like marking time as our ancestors did, in an immersive space where we get a chance to talk to Native Hawaiian designers and Native Hawaiian allied thinkers who will present students with an overview of what constitutes Indigenous design. And what are the ethical and professional considerations one has to think about before they go out and create a prototype. So it's some of that in this fall semester, which just completed. And then it moves on to spring, where we run a cohort of students through a sprint to take these deep lessons in learning and have a chance to then create prototypes. And what has been exciting is that we've had two really big and important findings is that there's an appetite for non-Native Hawaiian students to understand how do you ethically enter the idea of Indigenous innovation. And there's an appetite for funders and investors and foundations of this idea. So this is a New Future Challenge. This was in our cohort last year. Students that have passed through. We're really focusing on the calling is not if you're Native Hawaiian or not. It is, do you have a call to be of service to the land of Hawaii and the practices of Hawaii that move you? And that we can have a range of people that come to it as engineers. We've had computer science majors. We've had botany majors. A whole bunch of people, Hawaiian and non-Hawaiian, have signed up. But they are similar in their call to be present and to serve the place that we love if you're of Hawaii. we kind of run through a cohort of students that are then paired with a sister project that Pupumaia Foundation runs called Kamaka Inana, which will pair you with people who are similarly studying this or like immersed in this practice who are in the professional sector. So you get a chance to be networked with not just your peers, but professionals who are also interested in exploring this. So it's a rich and a robust space to learn. And I think what you can expect is pretty interesting. I found and really getting great feedback to gain context of what it means to do work in Hawaii, to gain the fundamentals of design thinking and entrepreneurial mentality, to create a cohort. And we've been doing this entirely on Zoom. People are telling us having a Zoom cohort of people doing something with you has been something they've craved, and it's become kind of emotional. People really look forward to our weekly meetings, receive mentoring and coaching. There's a huge array of people on the staff who are, like myself, professionals, but we see coaching and mentoring as being horizontal and vertical. Like I get coached from students, we coach each other, we create a welcoming and affirming space. And we also provide academic and financial resources. We raise money so that at the end, the projects that you go after, there's a pitch session where we can link you with resources, fiscal, but also professional. And there's opportunities upon terminus of the New Futures program to enter into the really robust and powerful ecosystems of incubators that Steve has and folks that Peter has talked about and folks after me will really speak to. We see ourselves as the opening catchment. Come in with zero knowledge, zero background in anything. This is where we capture and we hope to spread out into different spaces. And ultimately our goal is to create livelihoods that really cherishes the ingenuity of the ancestors of this land, but all of our collective ancestors, and finding ways for that to be brought ethically, but also economically viably into the 21st century. So I'll stop there, and if I have done sharing screen, but I really appreciate being able to share with everyone. We don't have any openings in the spring, we're realizing that, but we will start in fall, and if people are interested, we'll provide, you can drop your name in a chat or check in with Peter and we can provide you more contact information. Thank you everybody for your time. Thank you for being here on a Friday and we'll talk later. Mahalo.
All right, thank you so much, Kamu. And if we have any questions, jump right in there. Marianne, you have a question or are you just waving?
No, I'm just waving from Sydney, Australia, guys. And this
great.
background behind this background behind me it's real, okay?
That's awesome. Great to have you here, Marianne. So next we'd like to ask Greg Kim to tell us about the School of Law, Entrepreneurship and Small Business Clinic. Greg is the founder of Vantage Counsel, which is one of the very first virtual law firms in the country. And he's a corporate attorney with over 30 years of experience, and he also teaches at the law school and oversees the clinic and provides an incredible amount of help to our UH entrepreneurs. So I'll turn it over to you, Greg.
In other words, I'm old. Age has its advantages. Welcome, everyone. I'm just going to cut to the chase here because I think I take it the purpose here is to share our resources to the student body, right? And I guess faculty. So what can we do for you? I'll just share a screen, my really fancy presentation here. So I just typed this up right now, but basically it's pretty simple. Our clinic is a class at the law school, has been around since 2008. Justin Levinson, who I think is on this Zoom, was the brainchild for the class. So basically, the law students learn how to represent small businesses and startups. And as part of their curriculum, we take on small business clients and assist them for free. And I've listed some of the things here that we do. The students learn by doing. So it's project-based education, which is, I guess the wave of the future or the wave of the present. So it's been going well. This is my 13th year teaching the class. But we do things like, incorporations, LLCs, as well as corporations, Delaware or Hawaii. And we also do nonprofit corporations. We do help with the tax exemption application called a Form 1023, but most of the work there should be done by the client, but we fill in on the legal side. We review contracts of all kinds. We've done a lot of terms of use for websites, privacy policies. We've done a lot of contracts, you know, depending on your business, you might need a customer contract, manufacturing contract, or some sort of vendor agreement. So we've done all those sorts of things. And I'm sure there's a lot of other things that we've done, but anything on the business side, we don't do litigation or claims or disputes. And so, yeah, if you're interested in, here, I'll put my contact information down here. Oops. That's my cell. And my email, UH is there. And we've been pleased to work with a lot of the contestants for the business plan competition, but we're not exclusively high growth. In fact, I think most of the businesses that we help are small businesses, meaning that they're not seeking venture capital in traditional sense, which is probably 99% of the businesses in Hawaii. And so I think those kinds of businesses can become really big and significant Hawaii businesses. It's just they're not going to seek traditional venture capital. And so we help both kinds of businesses, but probably more so, you know, small businesses. So I think that's, is there anything else, Peter, that you want me to say? I think that's in a nutshell, all that I need to share.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Okay.
And thank you very much for the overview. So if there's any questions, you know, jump in at any time or drop them in the chat, but otherwise we'll just keep moving forward. So now we're going to hear from the MIND program, which is the Medical Innovation and Design program. And Mike Hansen is going to talk to us about that. Mike, are you ready?
Yes, thank you, Peter. And hello, everyone. It's good to be with you. What a great and exciting group this is. Let me share my screen. Okay, let's see. So Mind Hawaii is a university-wide program across all campuses, and its purpose is to directly improve healthcare in our community. It's an interdisciplinary group, as you'll see there. Those are the main schools and colleges involved, but it's open to any student. And these schools have come together from different colleges to develop solutions to challenging medical problems that we have. And something that Peter started us off with was that as a student, there might not be a better time to be an entrepreneur. And I totally agree with him. I think that's exactly right, because you're able to take advantage of so many different resources, and you have so many different people with varying backgrounds right next to you. And Mind Hawaii has really tried to take advantage of that and create these interdisciplinary teams that solve real world problems. Let's see. The mission of Mind Hawaii is to bring together students and faculty from all sorts of different places. I mentioned the business, medicine, engineering, and law are kind of the main ones, marketing, of course, and computer science, art, you know, there's so many places for everybody to contribute in this space. Again, we're developing solutions to medical problems. Programs open to students, whether you're pursuing an undergraduate degree, a graduate, or professional degree. And the way that the program works is we'll put you into teams. We have educational workshops. There's team mentoring from physicians or other industry professionals that work specifically with your team and with the problem that you and your team have taken on. And that altogether provides some fantastic networking opportunities. As far as the timeline of how Mind Hawaii works, it's a year-long program, academic year. And so this spring, we're in the middle of the program that started in August, which is when our kickoff happens. In September, we start to form teams, and those teams are based off of interests that you have. And so it's really organic. You're put together not necessarily with somebody that you come into the program with, but rather somebody who shares the same interests as you. You begin to work and develop prototypes and learn how to design a prototype, learn how to approach a problem. And then by the time January comes around, your team is ready to pitch that idea to the Mind Hawaii student board and directors, as well as to other investors, sponsors, doctors, and other professionals. So then after that, you've got a chance to kind of refine your prototype or your process. And then in April, there's a competition. And there's real cash money that's available up to $10,000. And so this is really an opportunity to jumpstart something brand new. Take a problem and work it through to a real world solution. Some of the highlights from our program are we've had a team go to a national competition and actually win. We've had teams publish patents, and several have formed companies that have gone on to be successful. And most importantly, they've changed lives. There's many lives that have been changed for the better because of these students coming together to address problems that either they saw or were seen by one of the mentors. And so the way that the program works is that we begin with kind of a bank of problems that come from physicians or others in the healthcare industry, and you build a team. You can choose a problem that you'd like to address, and then you work through that timeline that I talked about. It's been really gratifying and rewarding to watch students come together and start with almost nothing but an idea and take it through. And you know, that's the magic of being at a university with such robust entrepreneurship and innovative programs. You can see through this program today that there's so many different opportunities to take an idea and move it to a real solution. So here's our contact info. We have an email, website, and our own social media. I think that's all.
All right. Thank you very much, Micah. I love this program. I've had an opportunity to come in and talk to the Mind teams in the past, and it's a fantastic cross-functional experience, and I'd encourage all of you to check it out. So next, we're pleased to have John Richards. He's here to talk to us about the exciting things happening at Kapiolani Community College. John is the Dean of Career and Technical Education for Culinary, Hospitality, Business, Legal, and Technology, as well as of the Culinary Institute of the Pacific. That's a lot of responsibility. He's going to tell us about all the exciting things and innovative things happening there. So I'll turn it over to you, John.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate everybody giving us this opportunity to share the really cool things that we do. So at Kapiolani, I'm the Dean of Career and Technical Education and the Culinary Institute of the Pacific. And those disciplines are culinary, hospitality, business, legal, technology, and entrepreneurship. The Culinary Institute of the Pacific Diamond Head campus is the newest campus in the system. It is a dedicated advanced culinary education institute. We have built the first half of it, which is in this picture. That's phase one. We are now under construction to complete the entire campus with an expected completion in fall of 2022. And included in the next phase is we have an international auditorium, is what we are calling it. And this is technically a high-tech food and wine innovation television studio. So everything that we do in this space will be able to be broadcast or streamed real time to any program in the world, for that matter, as far as sharing what we're doing as far as our innovation work with the world. We also have a very highly anticipated restaurant that will be opening. It is a restaurant, but it is an academic classroom. It is restaurant management. It is restaurant innovation. It is food innovation. It's where our students complete not only culinary arts, but also restaurant management and getting into the higher level of the business of restaurants. The third building is our Culinary Innovation Center. And this is a dedicated space for innovation. It's a flexible space where experts from around the world would come in virtually and in person. And this may be set up as a classroom, or it may be set up as a demonstration space. It's also linked into the high definition television studio so that we can include programming from this facility while we're doing other programming at the same time. So some of the areas that we're focusing in with our Culinary Institute of the Pacific is new product development. We have multiple partnerships with King's Hawaiian, 7-Eleven, Zippy's, a number of partnerships where we're working with their corporate offices and developing new products for their businesses. We also have, that's been ongoing now, an Ignite collaborative internship. This is a totally customizable collaborative internship, not just for our campus, but for Department of Education, high school academy programs. It can be any program in and what we do is we take all of our interns in their final semester and we put a group of them into this internship where, yes, it's Culinary Institute, but we'll have a culinary student working with chefs side by side with a marketing student, an accounting student, an IT student, and they all start to collaborate on, well, what does it take to innovate this new product? And what does it take to market it? And what's the business? How do I set up the accounting for this new product? Very exciting to watch the students catch on fire in this collaborative environment. We're always expanding our agricultural network to be the center where, yes, we do some entrepreneurship building, but we're primarily evolving into a food culture research and development center where we'll work with farmers, businesses, manufacturers, and taking new product ideas and drilling down on food shelf life testing, acidity testing, allergen testing, all of the technical end of whatever food products that we may develop. Food entrepreneurship, that's just hot as all get out right now, and it is as broad as the world. And now during COVID, it's never been more important to be able to develop the entrepreneurs in our food industry to reinvent the way we were able to monetize our skills and our talents. Another area that we're getting into is the artificial intelligence presence in food service. What's it going to look like 5 years from now? How much that we're doing now might be automated, not just in our kitchens, but in our farms, in our manufacturing. And the last component that I'll just mention is a pretty intensive look into the nutrition and wellness side of the food innovation. So those are our primary focuses with many, many other ancillary focuses. And again, I'm very excited to share this. And if anybody's working in food, we're one of the places that you'll want to come talk to. Thank you.
Thanks, John. That's so exciting, all the progress that you've made over there. And it's such a great opportunity for Hawaii. So again, if you have questions, throw them in the chat or raise your hand or shout out. Don't be shy. But otherwise, finally, we're fortunate to have Karen Hanada join us from Maui College. So she's the Director of Extended Learning and Workforce Development. And I'm eager to hear what's happening with the Maui Food Innovation Center. I was over there last year visiting and was with Steve and was so excited about what you were doing there. So if you'd like to share the screen, Karen, go ahead.
Okay, aloha mai kako. And I want to mahalo Peter and Tracy. You know, what an honor it is to be part of this group. Really beautiful growing ecosystem supporting entrepreneurship and business development here in Hawaii. And I want to thank the other presenters because I learned a lot from you. And it's exciting, you know, to think about how we can connect dots and help more people. So I'm from UH Maui College. So aloha from Maui. And I'm the director of the Office of Extended Learning and Workforce Development. The Maui Food Innovation Center is a program in Elwood. That's our acronym. And our focus is food product entrepreneurship. And we've been at it for 10 plus years, started previous chancellor, many federal and local grants, and fortunate enough to have our legislature appropriate over $7 million for a new facility that will be finished this August. In the meantime, we are running training and mentorship and incubation programs in our non-credit division, that is Elwood. And you can see here on the slide, we have many local small businesses that we've helped nurture and develop. I believe we're in our 10th cohort of the MFIX graduates, and we have 146 graduates. And again, you can see small businesses, often the backbone of diversifying our economy and, you know, trying to get synergy going between food product development and getting tourism back up, you know, getting a sustainable ag going, et cetera. So having food products really is tying all of those efforts to the market and adding to sustainability. What does the Maui Food Innovation Center provide? Well, we provide training and startup support and specialized kitchen facilities. The training and support that we offer now is in the form of 3 classes, a food business startup class, and then a concept to consumer class, and a food accelerator, business accelerator class, 3 classes in succession. And our teachers provide coaching and business resources networking to capital, small business administration, to economic opportunity, nonprofit, et cetera. It really is a village here in Maui County, and there's a tremendous network of support for our students that come through, and then mentoring and coaching after they leave our program. I really want to give a shout out to our team of teachers. They've been fantastic. Professor Spear, he just retired. They've laid a great foundation, and including this test kitchen. You can see a picture here of where our students work. What's coming in the future is a new $7.5 million facility, about 4,300 square feet, slated for completion this August. And in that facility, we'll have spaces for research and development, and for students to come in, and for public operators to come in. And we'll have these spaces here that you see: cold process, dry process, wet process, and packaging. So to sum up this presentation, and since I'm the last presenter, I thought it would be best to take you to a video, because you know, I think the old adage is a picture is worth 1,000 words, but I think a video is worth 1,000 words. So bear with me while I switch over. Okay. Are you able to see this video? I hope so. Okay. So this is about 2 minutes.
I'm really happy to be part of the Maui Food Innovation Center, and it's been a great program for me, and it's opened possibilities in my mind on what's possible with my business.
I think that the key to the program was understanding where my product belonged. I think as an entrepreneur, you jump through every door that opens because you're scared there's not going to be another door, or you're wondering what direction you're supposed to go. So you kind of just go in all the directions. So I'm no longer doing that, because I got outside the building, outside of the Food Innovation Center. I asked a lot of questions. It encouraged me to have belly-to-belly interviews, not over the phone, not by email, but actually go out into the marketplace where I wanted to see my product be and get immediate feedback.
At the stage we were at when I enrolled and took the class, the way I was most benefited was with the people that surrounded us and their support and their encouragement and their enthusiasm. To be around that many like-minded entrepreneurs really helped to support me, because as an entrepreneur in a business, we all know there's ups and downs. It's tough. Sometimes you want to throw in the towel, and other times you're super excited and into it. And in those low times, being in the class and meeting those people that have gone through it before you or in that position now, having that support kind of encouraged me and pushed me to keep moving and complete what we set out to do.
Local business, all the money stays on Maui or the island where the business is, but they're not sending the money off to the mainland to investors, whereas all the large hotels are owned by corporations. Most of them are publicly owned, and the stockholders are the investors. So the stockholders are basically getting the profits. The hotels employ people, and the wages, of course, maintain our economy, but the economy could be so much better if the wealth stayed on the island.
We were able to meet our graphic designer through the program, and she created an amazing label and logo for our kimchi, as well as connecting us with key people in the community to events that I would never be able to do alone.
Okay, bear with me as I switch back to my PowerPoint. There we go. All righty. So let's see, I'm so sorry, here we go. Okay, so thank you for your patience. And if you'd like more information on the Food Innovation Center, there's our email. I welcome any inquiry. We have a great team of very supportive colleagues. We have a very nice network that supports budding entrepreneurs. We welcome your inquiries. I'll take any questions if you have any.
All right, thank you so much, Karen. So any questions for Karen or any of the other presenters? Okay, well, before we let you all go, I just want to thank you all for participating in this event and for having the courage to be entrepreneurs during this difficult time. We've all had a rough year, to say the least, but we're still going, and that's the most important thing we can do to help Hawaii, is to keep going, is not to stop and wait for the environment to change. And you've seen 7, I think, programs across UH that are here to help you do that. And I hope that you found one or more that inspire you to reach out and get help. So for my part, I know some people came in late, and I want to remind you that we've started the UH Venture Competition season, and you can still register for that event on the PACE website, and I think we'll drop the link in the chat. But I hope that you will take advantage of at least one of these amazing programs and keep going. And we're excited to see you at one of these great upcoming events. So thank you very much. And you can stick around if you want to talk further, but I think Tracy, that's a wrap, right?